All right, guys, we are back here at Big Dave's Wrestling Review. Monday Night Raw. Here's the thing. You give us a show that tricked everybody into believing it was a good show. And I told everyone, look, Paul Heyman's not a part of this yet. He doesn't have his hands on it yet. Eric Bischoff would not be at SmackDown, and they're not going to have anything to do with it until after Extreme Rules. So these are things that I pointed out. Then, even when I gave Raw a good review, I even said then, guys, settle down. This isn't all Paul Heyman. I knew it wasn't all Paul Heyman, and I knew they were trying to trick us. But it was so desperate, man. So desperate for something good and something fresh and something new that for the first couple of hours after watching Raw, I said, wow, they gave us a good show. But then I had to think about it, and I had to look back. And, you got matches that, these 2 out of 3 Falls matches are killing it. They're killing the product. Elimination tags, all this crap. It's killing the show to me, personally. Because there's just no... Once again, the whole logic thing goes so far with it's we don't even have logic anymore. We don't have rules. We don't have any kind of regulation on this thing. I've got a nephew. He's 6 years old, and he loves wrestling. He loves the WWE. And I remember being that young, and I remember loving wrestling and loving and trying to understand the rules still, kind of. I remember there was a rule, used to be, especially in the Southern Territories, where if you threw a wrestler over the top rope in a match, it was a disqualification. That was a disqualification. If you threw someone over the top rope out to the floor, if the referee saw it, it was a disqualification. As a kid, not knowing that there are different rules for different territories, things like that, were kind of hard for me. I didn't understand it, but once I got it, I got it. But it was still confusing at that age, when you're young and you're watching this product. And I could imagine being my nephew's age watching this now. There's no structure. There's no rules. There's no rules to any of this anymore. I remember when you couldn't hit a guy with a closed fist. It had to be an open hand or a forearm or an elbow. You couldn't hit him with your fist, and I know as things progress, things change. I get that. I mean, if you look at Stone Cold come out and all of his moves were basically closed fist. And he was one of the biggest baby faces in the company. So you can't, disqualify him for using a closed fist. So they kind of changed the rules, and now a closed fist is completely legal. Throwing a guy over the top rope, completely legal. But these are the things that I think about. Because I think about when 20 years from now, what will the product be? 10 years from now, what will the product be? And what are we leaving for the younger generations? Because even though the target audience right now, is not the younger crowd, even though they try to say it is, WWE is making their money off people my age with children that grew up watching wrestling. That's where they're making their money, man. That's how they're making their money on these house shows and things like that. Oh, WWE is going to be in town. Let's get the kids. Let's get tickets. Let's go to the show. Those are the people that watch on Monday night. Those are the people who will be the future people to watch wrestling. Because my dad watched wrestling, so I watched wrestling. So it's kind of the same thing, but what is the product going to be? I worry about where the product will be in 20 years. So we start out Monday Night Raw with this. All right, look, they at least didn't start out with a bunch of talking. 2 weeks in a row, I was like, okay, 2 weeks in a row, we get a match to start Raw. Like, as the competitors are coming to the ring, the announcers are talking about what's going to be happening and why they're having this match and what's going on, you know. And they start the match, and they said, you see Becky Lynch comes out first. Huge pop for Becky. I think anytime you can put Becky out in the opening segment, though, is a smart decision because the crowd's really amped up right there, and Becky's one of the hottest stars they have. Becky's music hits, and you hear the announcer say, this match is a mixed tag team elimination match. WTF? A what? A mixed tag team elimination match. So now we're doing these mixed tags a lot more and these eliminations and all this. And I'm trying to figure out, well, how's this going to work? Because if Becky pins, or they were, and by the way, they were going up against Selena Vega and Andrade Cien Almas. Selena Vega's looking fine as ever. So say Becky Lynch pins Selena Vega. Well, then not only is Selena Vega eliminated, but in part so is Becky because she can't fight against Andrade. And I knew this was going to happen. Basically, that's what happened. They made a comment that made me laugh. They said, Selena Vega, she's so small compared to Becky Lynch. She doesn't have the training that Becky Lynch has. But Selena Vega was trained in the streets. Just thought that was kind of funny. Becky gets a disarmer on Selena. She taps out. We go to commercial break. We come back. We have Seth Rollins in the ring with Andrade. Now, here's where things get confusing to me. You've got Selena, who is eliminated. She's standing outside the ring, holding her arm. Becky, who cannot wrestle against Andrade, standing on the turnbuckle as if she's ready for a freaking hot tag. We know she's not going to get tagged to come into the match because that technically can't happen. What if Andrade would have beat Seth? Well, then what would we do then? But, logic doesn't have any rules or any place in the WWE, especially on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. So basically, we have Seth Rollins versus Andrade, and I will say it was cool to see them, square off in the ring against each other. I love Andrade Cien Almas. What they did in the ring was perfectly fine. There's a moment where Selena Vega gives Seth the Hurricane Rana. Becky comes in to stop it. And while that's going on, Andrade hits Seth. Andrade goes to hit Seth. Becky pushes Seth out of the way. Andrade Cien Almas accidentally hits Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch goes down. Seth Rollins, are you okay? Becky, are you okay? Andrade and then attacks Seth from behind. Yada, yada, yada. There's another spot where Selena goes for the Hurricane Rana on Seth. Seth catches her, holds her with her legs wrapped around his neck and her head kind of dangling above the floor. In comes Becky for a drop kick. Seth goes back in the ring, hits Andrade, hits him with the curb stomp. 1, 2, 3, and Seth and Becky are victorious. I would have much rather had, Becky on the outside, Becky doing commentary, and have Selena on the outside with Andrade, and just have a one-on-one match with Seth Rollins and Andrade Cien Almas. I would have been cool with that, man. I've been super cool with that. I would have loved to have seen that match. But they have to keep banging it in our heads that, what will happen to their relationship? Will this be a strain on their relationship if they lose at Extreme Rules? What will that do to their relationship? Jeez Louise, shut up about it. Like we know already, okay? You've beat this into our heads. Stop it already, please, for Christ's sake. So, as Becky and Seth are coming up the ramp, celebrating, you know what's coming. Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans come out with the attack. Basically attack him on the ramp, leave him laying. Then we have Paul Heyman come to the ring. Paul Heyman comes to the ring and says, at Extreme Rules, Brock Lesnar will cash in his title against either Seth Rollins or Kofi Kingston. And that's not a prediction, ladies and gentlemen. That's a spoiler. And every time I've told you that it was going to be a spoiler, I have told the truth. Ever since WrestleMania 30. But this time, since I've been telling the truth so much, maybe I'm lying this time. You'll have to tune in to find out. Great. I was going to tune in anyway, Paul. And I have no reason to truly believe that Brock Lesnar will show up. Although SummerSlam is approaching. So I don't know. But I do not see that happening. All right, after that, guys, what do we got? The Holla 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 6-man 2 out of 3 tag team match. We get the Miz music hits. Out comes the Miz. And we go to commercial. We come back from commercial. Elias and the Revival are in the ring. And Miz. Then we have the Usos music hit. So why did we bring the Miz out first? The face. All 3 heels come out while we're at commercial. And then the Usos music hits and they come out and join the Miz. After 3 competitors that the Miz is facing is already in the ring. Logic, ladies and gentlemen. Logic. They are heels. It is a 2 out of 3 falls match. Miz is sitting there all by his lonesome. The Usos haven't got to the ring yet, but all of us are in the ring. What are heels supposed to do? Be heels. Why didn't they go after the Miz right there and attack the Miz, beat him down? Usos have to rush to the ring, then you get the match started. You could already pin the Miz, put him in a finisher. But no logic. No, we have to have the Miz music hit. Then we have to go to commercial. Then we'll bring out the Revival and Elias, push them out there and give them a jobber entrance. Then the Usos, they've got really hype music, really hip music. The kids like them. Then we'll bring the Usos out so everybody can hear their theme music. That's why they did that. That's exactly why they did that. You couldn't have Elias. A better way to do this, in my opinion, is, before you go to commercial, have Elias strum his music, his guitar. Hello, my name is Elias. I'm here to da-da-da-da as he's talking and walking to the ring. Which this is probably what they did anyway. As he's talking and walking to the ring. Then you go to commercial. Have the Usos and the Miz. If they want to come out separately, that's fine. Hell, have them all 3 come out to the Usos music. Anyway. Just my thing. Basically, the way this works, the Revival hit the Shatter Machine onto one of the Usos. They get the pinfall. Elias just leaves the match for some reason. So, we go to commercial. About a 5-minute commercial. Okay? We're going to go commercial. When we get back, this match will reset. Alright? Go to commercial. Come back. 2 guys sitting in the ring. Ring the bell. Now it's 3-on-2 because Elias, who did not lose, this isn't an elimination match. He just leaves. No explanation. No wonder why. Nobody asks what's going on. He's not hurt. He just leaves the match. Okay. You're going to leave your teammates out there high and dry. That's cool. Whatever. So, after we get back to the match from commercial, long story short, the Miz hits a skull-crushing finale on Dawson or Wilder. I can't remember which one it was. As soon as he gets the 3 count to make the match 1-1, we don't reset and pause and give him 5 minutes or anything like that. It's 1, 2, 3, super kick, big splash off the top, and that's the match. Why do we get a 5-minute break in between the first fall, but between the second and the third fall, there is no break? Like, you're just screwed. If you want to lose, you want to lose that first one. Because there's no breaks between second and third. Logic, ladies and gentlemen. Logic. Why does this happen? What are the rules? Tell us the rules. You know, when you watch a basketball game and guys are like, oh, he's traveling, he's taking too many steps. You know, sometimes the announcers will stop and they'll watch it and they'll say, oh, yeah, he's traveling there. He can only take this many steps. This is what the rules are of the game. You can't do that. They don't do that here. Because there are no rules. There are no rules. There is no logic. None of this makes sense, ladies and gentlemen. None of it makes sense. Now, I will say, Drake Maverick, 24/7 champion. The little promos he did on his Twitter account and stuff like that, where him and his wife are on their honeymoon. Every picture he takes, he's raising up his title belt, and it like blocks his wife out of the picture. It's very funny. I'll give it credit. After that, they announced that Rey Mysterio will be returning tonight, and he's going to host an open challenge for anyone that wants to face him this evening on Raw. And his opponent was none other than Bobby Lashley. Yep, Bobby Lashley comes in after supposedly being sent, to the hospital in a very somber mood, and everyone were very, very worried about Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman. Everyone, please keep them in your thoughts. Bobby Lashley's back. He destroys Rey Mysterio. There's a moment, where after the match, he basically picks him up over his head, throws him on a bunch of referees. I don't have a huge problem with this. The only issue I have with it is I hate that you bring Rey Mysterio back just to get squashed by a guy who definitely didn't have to be on the show tonight. We could have still been talking about all night tonight how, Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman, they couldn't be here tonight. Bobby Lashley cut a promo that said, I was the first man standing. No, I was the only man standing. And at Extreme Rules, we're having a last man standing match. He could have done that from his Twitter just as much as he did the last segment. I didn't see a real need in having Lashley squash Ray, but hey, it is what it is. Then we have Cesaro versus No Way Jose. Another squash match for Cesaro. I like Cesaro's new ring entrance. I like how they're pushing him to be kind of this a machine type of wrestler. Just come in, do his job. He actually wins with the sharpshooter, which I thought was cool. Basically, man, just a squash match for Cesaro. Then we go backstage, and the Street Profits are there again, and they're promoting Extreme Rules. The Street Profits are the NXT Tag Team Champions. I heard that they were handpicked by Heyman to come up. Again, that's allegations. I don't understand why they take talent from NXT when they are champions or when they are very hot and give them no direction on the main roster. You have two guys who they don't seem like they're reading off scripts on NXT. They seem like everything's rehearsed on Raw. All right, after that, we go to Mike and Maria Kanellis backstage. They do a recap of all the stuff that happened. Mike is backstage telling her he's so sorry. He's so sorry. She says, I love you. I also love ice cream and pickles. He's like, huh? Ice cream and pickles? I want you to get me some. Oh. And as he's walking off, she's kind of like, what man has a woman tap him out? Don't like the angle, don't care for it. Don't care if they ever do it again. But it looks like we're going to be getting that, so hopefully it's not a 9-month angle. Nikki Cross and Bayley, they're doing an interview because Cross and Bayley will be in a Beat the Clock challenge tonight. Time killer. Yeah, basically it was just a time killer. Then you had the Viking Raiders in a squash match against whoever the local jobbers were. They totally destroyed those guys. After the match, 24/7 crew and the jabronis, they start running around the ring, chasing Drake Maverick. They go into the ring. The Viking Raiders are still in the ring, so they kind of bust some heads, kick them out. R-Truth gets in the ring. There's a stare down with R-Truth and the Viking Raiders. There was a little bit of a buzz there. And then R-Truth just backed out, and he went the opposite way that everybody else was running. There we go. Yeah, basically that's the whole thing there on that segment. Then you have Ricochet versus Luke Gallows. And they do a recap of all the stuff that happened last week. Ricochet comes to the ring and says, I want to be like AJ one day, but you know how this is going to turn out. It's going to be me and Luke Gallows, but he's not going to be alone. And I'm basically going to have to fight all three of them. AJ Styles didn't have a problem with that because Ricochet beats Gallows. When he beats Gallows, hey, you said you could beat us all three. Well, here's Carl Anderson. Commercial break. Carl Anderson. Ricochet beats Carl Anderson. AJ Styles comes in and proceeds the beatdown. They beat down Ricochet. They hit him with the Good Brothers finishing move. I believe it was called the Dream something. I don't know. Dream Crasher or something. They go to set him up to put him up there for the Styles Clash off the top rope. Styles pushes him off, says, you know what, you're not worth it. I'm going to leave you a little bit left if you'll stay down. That way you'll have a little bit left at Extreme Rules as they're leaving. Ricochet's fighting his way up the ropes. Turn around. They beat him down again. Hit him up. They hold him while AJ hits the phenomenal forearm on Ricochet. And that is the end of that segment. Backstage, all night, Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon have been trying to find Roman Reigns' partner because they are picking his partner tonight. They've been going for the trash man. They've gone to the guy that sells the beer. Finally, they find a 50-year-old janitor by the name of Gary. And I saw where this was going immediately. Because they say, Gary, we'll give you $5,000 just to stand there and not do anything. Oh, Gary said, I'd do a lot if I do anything for $5,000. It's just like, oh, God, man. Well, I suck a dick for $5,000. But he was in his janitor gear, like the Dickies suit, like the janitor gray one piece. And Drew McIntyre says, well, yeah, we'll get you a mask to wear too. We don't want people to recognize you after this. Not like there's not a camera sitting there watching the whole time. As they walk off and that janitor's sitting there, they're kind of staring at him with the camera, like the camera's kind of zoomed in on him. And I knew then there's going to be somebody else under that mask. In that outfit, they're going to do that. I thought maybe it would be Shelton Benjamin because the guy kind of looked like an old Shelton Benjamin. The guy says, I can't do it. I got a bum knee, all this stuff. Oh, you just stand there, $5,000. We'll give you a mask. After that, we go to the Beat the Clock Challenge. Bayley versus Sarah Logan. Sarah Logan comes out to the Riot Squad music with the Riot Squad Titantron promo video package. She's basically doing this thing where she's kind of a Viking Raider female version. They've been trying it out on the house shows, I've heard. You mean to tell me that y'all couldn't come up with something just real quick to throw out there instead of just Riot Squad and the Riot Squad's music? Like, come on, man. She's not a member of the Riot Squad anymore. Liv Morgan has done nothing on SmackDown. And I heard Ruby Riott is injured right now. So if you're going to put her out there, she doesn't dress up like the whole Riot Squad thing anyway. She never did, in my opinion. She never really fit that mold, in my opinion. And you can't give her just, I mean, there's not somebody in the back doing y'all's graphic designs and shit. I mean, fuck, man, I could have figured something out. But basically, Sarah Logan did a good job here. She pushed Bayley to the limit. I think Bayley won in like 4 minutes and 32 seconds. Of course, Nikki Cross, she was against Dana Brooke. I was surprised to see Dana Brooke back after the shot that she took. I thought she broke her eye socket. Maybe not. It was a few weeks ago. I did notice there wasn't a lot of blows towards the face. There wasn't anything around her face in this match. It was more suplexes and lower body extremity shots, things of that nature. So, man, I've never been a fan of Dana Brooke, but dude, I have heard so many good things about Dana Brooke and how hard she works. And if she's going out there and wrestling, she did a swanton dive off the top rope, man, and it looked great. She didn't hit it, but it looked great. You know, Dana Brooke could be one of those people that it just took a little bit longer for her to catch on. Hell, and that's okay, man. There's been a lot of guys right now that I respect in the business that it took them a little longer to catch on. The Miz being one of them. The Miz was not that great in the ring when he came up. Baron Corbin was not that great in the ring when he came up. And the list can go on and on. You know, I mean, heck, man, to be honest with you, Big E, Kofi, Xavier, they were not all that great in the ring when they first came onto the scene. But anyway, Nikki Cross beats the time. So she brings Bayley into the ring. She says, I want you to come in here face to face. Tired of you putting down Alexa. I'm so happy that I can announce the stipulation of y'all's match, and the match is going to be a handicap match, me and Alexa versus you for the SmackDown Women's title. Basically, Cross then, Nikki Cross keeps saying to Bayley, you know, maybe if you could go find a friend. If you could find a friend like I have an Alexa. You're just mad because you don't have a friend that you can trust and that will stand by your side the way I do Alexa. And it was pretty much, for all the people that's in the know, pretty much hinting around about Sasha Banks. And, you know, eventually Bayley just slaps Nikki Cross. She slaps her back, scuffle, yada, yada, yada. Nikki Cross had new attire today, ladies and gentlemen. She had new ring gear. She does not look like that one chick that wore the same shirt every day in high school. But, you know, people that aren't in the know, they're not going to pick up the whole Sasha Banks thing that she's doing right there. And they put little things in there just for the marks like me. Like, there was a moment in the AJ Ricochet match where AJ was kind of talking shit to Ricochet, and he was telling him, you know what? You need to slow down. You need to learn how to slow down. You know, that's the same things that was said about AJ Styles when he was Ricochet's age. So, you know, it's kind of funny how that's all, you know, they're little smart marks like me. I pick up on that stuff. So now at Extreme Rules, it's going to be Bayley versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross in a handicap match for the SmackDown Women's title. I see it going as Nikki Cross will pin Bayley. And then at that point, Nikki Cross they'll go to hand the title to Nikki Cross. Alexa Bliss will take it. Something like that. I don't want to see that, but I can see it happening. Then we go back to Mike and Maria Kanellis. She's basically saying, you know, he said, if I could, I'd impregnate you right now. She says, I'm not so sure you were the one that impregnated me. Well, whoa, what's going on here? Whoa. So we're going to be a who the daddy? Who is the pappy? Who is the pappy for Maria Kanellis' baby? What if it's Vince? That's right. I'm the pappy. Ha ha. It's my seed from my loins that got Maria knocked up. Ha ha. I'm the pappy. That'd be a good gimmick. Main event, Roman Reigns and Gary the Goat versus Drew McIntyre and Shane. Now, it was said in the stipulations of this match that if The Undertaker shows up, well, then he can't come to Extreme Rules. So that's their way of keeping The Undertaker off TV. I understand it. I get it. But here comes Gary the Goat, and he's got his mask on and his janitor outfit, and he's limping around holding that bad knee. He gets tagged in and immediately does like a back kick and a springboard off the top rope, and you hear the announcers, "Oh, Gary, he's all right now. Hey, look at Gary go." You guys know that's not that fucking same guy. There's no freaking way. I thought it was too small to be Shelton Benjamin. I said it's either Cedric Alexander or it's Lito Rush, which I was pretty sure it was Lito Rush, to be honest with you. I don't know why. I didn't put two and two together. But I'm sure so many of you guys did. I mean, off top. But I haven't been exposed to Cedric Alexander. So at the end of the match, basically Drew McIntyre hits Gary the Goat with a Claymore. He gets the pinfall. But Roman's like, "Man, wow, Gary, you sure did do something good. Take that mask off. Who are you?" It's Cedric Alexander. To no reaction at all. No pop. Nobody cared. I don't think people even knew who the hell it was. I bet you there were some drunk motherfuckers in the audience that thought it was Gary the Custodian still. What logic does Cedric Alexander have to put himself in this situation at all? Weren't you just fighting for the 24/7 title last week, 2 weeks ago? You know I said we got to get these guys into some spots last week. I named off all the people on the roster they did not use on Raw and SmackDown. Guys, Cedric Alexander's a great talent, but nobody cared. I heard it said on Fightful for their review, they said there was no reaction to Cedric Alexander, much like nobody knew who he was because he's not been on the frickin' show. 3 hours in the crowd of a wrestling match. Now, I don't drink, I usually don't drink at wrestling matches. I have before, and I regretted it every time. And I quit drinking I quit getting drunk. I might have a drink every once in a while, special occasion. But I try not to get drunk. But a lot of people there, I'm telling you, a 3-hour Monday Night Raw after about, 3 hours of wrestling, that's about enough. You're getting kind of tired. Your voice is worn out if you were getting hyped for the show, which I wouldn't have gotten hyped for this show for any reason whatsoever. And you bring out a guy that most people don't even know who the hell he is. So did you think he was going to get a reaction out of the crowd for that? And now we have Tuesday night SmackDown. And I'm assuming they'll do something with this angle to set it up for the pay-per-view Sunday. But again, there's no explanation. We don't understand why. It's just there. Cedric Alexander was to put it upon himself to go find this Gary the Goat custodian and said, "Hey, they gave you $5,000, but let me put your suit on. Let me wear your mask, and I'll go out there for you." Why? Just because there's no rules or logic on Monday Night Raw. That's the show. That is your go-home show. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm going to go over now what I've heard in the alleged rumors mill. I have heard that they want to do a Brand new draft. I've heard they may not even announce it and put it on the show. Like it may be a behind the scenes draft just like real sports. Raw and SmackDown. And that's going to happen. I've heard that's going to happen after SummerSlam. Again, these are allegations. I have also heard that SmackDown wants its own roster. And that Fox wants SmackDown to have its own roster. Fox does not want their athletes on SmackDown going to the USA Network. Allegations. Still, these are things that I've heard. You have the Iconics Women's Tag Team Championship that the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, I thought won a match to become the number one contenders. But that's not happening on Extreme Rules. Maybe the pre-show, I don't know. They need to get those belts off the Iconics, move them over to there. I've heard Sasha Banks rumors. I've heard Sasha Banks wants to go to Japan. I heard Sasha Banks is coming back. I heard Sasha Banks is just took time off. And everybody knows it. And they're cool with it. I don't know. I hope that they do the draft. I hope they do a real draft. And I hope it's not one of these things where your champions are going from Raw to SmackDown and flip-flopping titles. Keep the titles where they are. Have a real draft. Do not pull up. Man, there's just select people that might be able to come up to from NXT that I would be cool with. But for the majority, keep NXT where it's at. Do your draft, Raw, SmackDown. Maybe weed. Pick out a few guys from 205 Live. Pick out a few guys from NXT. But the major stars from those NXT especially needs to stay on NXT. So again, another Raw that really does not deserve its own review. Where's the Attitude Era, guys? I thought we was getting this big Heyman switch up last week. Come on, guys. I mean, the Heyman era has begun. I heard everybody say, oh, they're going to have a new stage next week. That's why they did the spot with Strowman and Lashley, because they're going to revamp the stage. They're going to have a brand new stage this week. And Paul Heyman's going to be pushing it to PG-14. And, yeah, Big Dave, you don't know what you're talking about. It was a good show. You're just being a hater. You're just an AEW mark. No, I'm not. I'm smart, motherfucker. I've watched the product enough. I know what they're doing. There's only really one explanation on some of the things that they do. Two explanations on some of the things that they do where they've outsmarted me. And if they've outsmarted me, and I'm not gonna show my cards. I'm not gonna let you know what I'm talking about. But if they're outsmarting me on the level that they're either shitty and not knowing it, or they are shitty and knowing it for another reason, and they are way ahead of me. And I know it might not make sense, but what I'm saying is, I've always felt like there are ways to make this product better, ways to make this product seem more realistic. I'm not going to go into it right now. If that's what they're doing and they've gotten one over on me, kudos to you. Kudos to you, Vince. But I know deep down in my heart, you ain't doing that. So, like I said, if they can do these great, if they can make these brands separate, do a new draft, maybe they'll do something. But I'm still not convinced. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, allegedly, from what I've understood, were always saying they were going to AEW. They wanted out of their contract. Guess what? Now they've signed a 5-year deal. They signed a 5-year deal basically just to be AJ Styles' henchman. For how long? For how long? We all want the club to be a big thing. We all want Finn Balor on the club, and we want that to be a big thing. I would love to see that. But they're not going to give it to us. You really think they're going to give us that? It wasn't Vince's creation. This is something those guys did in Japan. He's not going to let them do it over here. Not to the extent that they should do. You know, they have gold right there, but they don't use it. They made Gallows and Anderson promises that I guarantee you that they're going to be on the show more and they're going to be a big part of this big transition coming in October. No, I guarantee you they will find a way to fuck this up. Gallows had a singles match tonight. And I read somewhere it was the first singles match he's had since 2017 against Enzo Amore. But now you want to sign him to a 5-year deal. Him and Carl Anderson both. You've had him sit in the back and catering for years, and now you want to give him a 5-year deal. Why? Why? Don't tell me that you've been planning this for so long that you just had him in the back waiting. You don't want him going to AEW. Period. I'm not so sure that the Eric Bischoff signing and the Paul Heyman signing isn't to keep them from going to AEW. That is what's going to start happening. Mike and Maria Kanellis is another great example. Why did you sign them for 5 freaking years? They have been nothing but disappointment since they've signed on. It's not a good business move. NXT is training the stars for tomorrow's AEW stars. That's what they're doing. Look, I can't blame anybody. These people have families, they have kids, you know. They don't have a retirement. They don't have, you know, the things that real regular jobs have. They don't have a 401k. So, you know, to get a big contract and to be able to sit and not put a strain on your body and basically you're just taking a check not to work somewhere else. I mean, I can't blame anybody for that. I really can't. But dear God, can you sign? I mean, I just don't understand the Mike and Maria Kanellis signing. I don't get it. So this is what we're going to get, guys. This is what we're going to continue to get until at least by the very best after Extreme Rules. So could this be the last Raw of the, you know, Vince McMahon still being really over top everything? I don't believe so. I don't believe we're ever going to move from there. I believe Eric Bischoff was signed to work directly with Fox executives because he is good at that angle. Eric Bischoff has never been a great booker. That's why I don't understand the executive director role and creative director role. I mean, granted, Eric did good with the NWO and all that, but he kind of got lucky on that. And with Goldberg, too, he kind of got lucky with that. But he's good with the network executives. He's used to that. He's done that before. I think that's why they hired Eric, and they didn't want him to go to AEW. So they had to put somebody over Raw. They didn't want to put Triple H there because that's a demotion for Triple H. I've tried to explain that to people, and they argue with me. Why does Triple H want to be the executive director of Raw or SmackDown when he's basically the vice president of the whole freaking company right now? Really, the only person over him is Vince or Stephanie. Why would he oversees everything? So I don't know, guys. I think they just signed Paul Heyman because they had to put somebody in that role, and they knew that if they did want to push the edge a little bit, Paul Heyman would be the guy to do it. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Once again, thank you so much for listening. We are going to try to get these onto the YouTube channel, Big Dave's Wrestling Review. We're trying to get this on there as well. So be on the lookout for that. If you do find that channel, make sure you please like, subscribe to the channel. There's a little bell icon on the main page of the YouTube channel. Click that bell icon. That way you'll be notified anytime I upload a video onto that channel, you'll be the first to know. Also, you can get us on Anchor app, of course, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Breaker. There's another outlet that just got approved yesterday. I mean, it sounds bad, but I can't remember which one it was. But there's plenty of ways to find the Big Dave's Wrestling Review. And once again, I will see you guys after SmackDown. We'll see what they do with that. I'm going to relax and enjoy my birthday today. 27 years old and holding. And guys, make sure you tune in next time. Big Dave's Wrestling Review.